What if every attachment in your Outlook could organize itself into the correct OneDrive folder without you lifting a finger? Well, it's very simple with AI and Power Automate. Let's dive in. In this example, we receive a new email with multiple attachments across different topics. The idea here is to iterate over each attachment, identify the attachment name, which will be used by the LLM to classify the category. And the category here can be HR, finance, IT. For example, something that is HR related, then it will be stored in the HR folder, right? Something that is finance related, like accounts payable, accounts receivable, will be stored in the finance folder, etc. And if LM is unable to identify the category, then the files will be stored under the unsorted folder in OneDrive. Let's create a flow. We'll use the automated one, where the trigger will be a new email. Please use the third version as it's the latest one. We also can give it a name as well. Let's create. So here the important part is in the options we would need to select include attachments as yes, and also we only want to trigger this workflow with the email that have attachments, right? There is no sense to run this without them. So let's keep it as yes as well. Next step would be to iterate over attachments, where we would need to use the loop component. The output would be the attachments, and the first component inside our loop will be to run a prompt. In this case, we want to classify the attachment category, right? So I have already built the prompt that works well for our use case. But as a first time, please create a new prompt here. I will just show you how it looks. So inside the prompt, I specify the instructions where I'm giving the role to my LLM and also the steps that it needs to follow, right? So here what is important is we would need to add two content inputs. The first one will keep the user's input, and the second one will have the categories to classify. So for example, if we have the payroll letter, we will keep it in the HR folder, right? If it's something related to the IT, something technical, we will keep it in the IT folder. Something related to finance, we'll keep it in finance folder, etc. And also, if it's impossible to identify the name, the category, then we'll label it as unsorted and we will keep it separately. Once you define your instructions, give it an appropriate name and click Save. Next, in the text input, we want to use the attachment name. And in the categories, I will use my own custom categories that I have defined previously. And again, they may be different from yours that you use inside your company and you like to keep in your OneDrive. The next step would be to actually upload the file. So let's type create a file. And I'm pretty sure that you're on the business version of OneDrive, so please use this component. But I'm personally testing this on my personal OneDrive. So I'll select this one, but in terms of functionality, they are the same components. So let's select the folder path. I have already created the attachments folder, and here we want to keep the dynamic variable, right? Because we want to store each attachment in a corresponding OneDrive folder, right? HR related attachment in the HR folder, etc. So we would need to keep the dynamic variable here. So let's insert the dynamic content and let's select the text. That will be the output from the previous step. The file name would be the same as attachments. Let's select attachment name. And the file content as well, we can select two. So now it's ready. We can also give it appropriate names. It's easier for us to remember. So let's put the loop as iterate over each attachment. Then here, what we're actually doing is we're classifying attachment category. And here, what in this step I'm doing, we're uploading the file into the right OneDrive folder. Okay, so let's save. It will suggest you that you would need to have the approval component. As we're working with the AI, it asks us to double check, verify that the output of AI is correct. But in our case, it's not necessary because it's not so dangerous for us to use LLM in this case, where it simply redirects our attachments into the right folders on our OneDrive. But in some examples, when we want to send email that is generated by AI to our manager, of course, that's important to first manually approve it. I will send the email to myself with the test subject, where I will attach a few documents across different areas. And I want to see how LLM will classify the categories and how they will be stored on my OneDrive. So let's test. I've just received the email, and as you can see, it successfully uploaded all the attachments into the right OneDrive folders. For example, it uploaded account payable report into finance, payroll letter into HR, IT notice into IT support, and I also uploaded the file with just the digits as a name, which it wasn't able to identify, and it classified as unsorted and kept it here. Great. Also guys, before I leave, I just launched a free community where I share all my Power Automate templates, and I'm also planning to run live masterclasses in the future. I would love to have you there. The link is under the description. Thank you.